Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, taking out a fun and exciting episode for you guys today because we're taking a look at Sonic 3 A.I.R or Angel Island Revisited. It is a full PC remaster and remake of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and if you go to the website and try to download it, you're going to find a version that's basically over a year old. But interestingly enough, if you know where to look, you'll find out that this was updated just a week ago as of the recording of this video, and I'd probably say about 2 weeks ago by the time you actually watch it. Because just be aware, I do make things ahead of schedule and then kind of decide what I feel like I should run with that day. But I will say Sonic 3 A.I.R is absolutely the best way to play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It has so many quality of life improvements, full widescreen support, and a ton of different modifiers and options. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support that channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And you will see here there is a check for updates icon, including test builds. That is the branch we're on. If you're back on stable, you're basically over a year old at this point in time. And if you've never played Sonic 3 A.I.R before, I can't stress enough just how much of a love letter this is to the original Sonic 3 as well as Sonic and Knuckles. And I grew up with the Sega Genesis. I grew up as a massive Sonic fan, and even though I think the games today are fine but nothing special, as a kid, two things absolutely ruled my life: Sonic as well as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that and skiing. And just to be able to play this game on PC with all of these creature comforts is a straight up 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But if you have played Sonic 3 A.I.R, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think, and let me know if you knew there was actually this unstable branch as well, because on the website you get the old version. If you go over to GitHub, you can grab the new version today, and you definitely want to do that. And the best part is Sonic 3 and Knuckles is absolutely a massive game, because back in the day when Sega was developing Sonic 3, they basically had to rush it to market, and Sonic and Knuckles is basically the back half or second part of the game. And obviously back in the day we had lock-on technology, which is nothing more than the ability to be able to address both ROMs on the carts at the same time with the Genesis, but that's something I definitely have in my collection, but most people might not. And with all of the different N64 decomps, recomps, and PC ports, and all of the different retro gaming PC ports we're getting lately, it's fun to talk about one that has been around for a while but just did get an update. Because that is the thing, all the recomps and PC ports you're seeing today, it isn't a new thing, it's just getting a lot more popular, and we're getting a lot more releases all at once. But these sort of PC ports of other retro games have been around for a bit, and if you are a Sonic fan, this one absolutely is one of the best things you can possibly play. But do be aware that I also have an update on some Sonic Adventure Fun as well, a new version of that I think you guys are definitely going to enjoy. And I will say, I still think Sonic 2 is the best 16-bit game that Sonic was ever a part of, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles is like 99.89% as good as that one, maybe 99.69% if I'm being honest. And being able to play this on PC is just straight up so much fun. There's going to be a ton of different modifiers in the option as well, so you can kind of just play around and create the Sonic 3 and Knuckles experience you want. And the best part is you can play the story, or helpful for capture, you can jump around to every single zone and every single act. That way you can kind of just experience what you want to experience. Because Sonic 3 and Knuckles is absolutely a massive game, and playing it from start to finish is one of the most things you can do on Sega Genesis or PC, in my opinion. This was just the height of Sonic's popularity, and Sega was pulling out all the stops to give us some massive games. And I would say Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles, as well as Sonic Mania Plus, probably the top 3 2D games, and I would put Sonic CD maybe in the 4th spot. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game in 2D as well as 3D. For me, it's definitely Sonic 2 on the 2D front and the original Sonic Adventure on 3D. But I just love that fans dedicate themselves to being able to make these things, because obviously we can play Sonic 3 and Knuckles on real hardware, we can play it on something like Mr. FPJ, and we can play it on something like software emulation. So technically on paper, when you leave that comment, why bother with this? It's just one of those things, it makes people have fun, and that's all the reason you ever need to do something. Let's go into the first of 2 soundtrack samples, because I do think this has some of the best music ever put to a Sonic game, but I'll be right back to show you a lot more about Sonic 3 A.I.R and try to convince you to play it today. mean, honestly, hearing any Sonic the Hedgehog music from this era, but especially Sonic 3 and Knuckles, just makes me happy because it's kind of the stuff that I grew up with, and I love just taking this over from my PC and putting an HDMI cable into the back of my LG C4 OLED. It looks absolutely stunning. All the fun, lush colors that Sega put in, as well as all the kind of muted greens and browns to have this kind of fall scene here. It looks absolutely incredible coming out of a PC. But the fun part is you can play this thing on Steam Deck. You can basically run it on a potato. You don't need to have a gaming or editing PC like I do to be able to enjoy it. But there is just something so much fun about Sonic the Hedgehog from the 16-bit era, because I think this and the Dreamcast era were the best things that Sonic ever did. And there's so many fun and unique little setups in this game. Every single level has a new hook, and if you've never played this before, I can't stress enough, just go ahead and download Angel Island Revisited and give it a shot. There's so much content here, and as far as its ability to run on PC, I played this from start to finish more than once. I've never had a bug, I've never had a crash. It just 100% feels like this was the way it was originally released. Or even better, because if Sega had released it on PC first, it would be a buggy mess, because Sonic is notorious for having bugs in most of the modern releases, and even the Dreamcast stuff. Those games barely felt like they were being held together with anything more than gaff tape dreams and a couple of wood screws they found in the development room. And that's why these PC ports really are so important. They don't just keep the games alive for us, but new people that have never played before can basically come in and play it in a more modern setting, because not everyone actually ends up using software emulation, even though if you watch my channel I'm sure you do, and definitely not everyone out there has original hardware as well as the extra cartridges to do the quote-unquote lock-on technology. Just being able to download this game, double-clicking an executable and giving it the files that you definitely own makes it so much easier just to jump in and enjoy things. And again, with all of the different modifiers, you can play around with the video, you can do filters, you can modify the game, give yourself infinite lives, basically do whatever you want to kind of craft the Sonic 3 and Knuckles experience you want. And I really like it when developers give that freedom to players, because if you played this game probably a dozen times like I have, changing things up kind of makes it feel about as fresh as it possibly could. Because the reality is, like, every 2 years or so, I'll go back and at least play one 16-bit Sonic game, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 3 and Knuckles. That way I just kind of spread it around, and I don't actually forget what's going on, but I just don't remember enough for it to feel fresh again. And that really is the thing. If it's been 5, 10, 15 years since you played Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic 3 A.I.R is absolutely just going to suck you back into the game, and it's going to let you know just how good Sonic used to be. Because even though Sonic's become a little bit of a joke in intervening years, although some of the most recent 3D games have been fun, back in the day, Sonic would 100% keep up with Mario, and it was basically those schoolyard arguments, whether you had a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo, whether or not Sonic or Mario were the better mascot. The reality is we were spoiled for choice because they were both incredible. Let's do a second soundtrack sample here really quick, and I'll be right back with just a bit more. I just love as you get further into a Sonic game just how much the intensity builds and how ridiculous levels get, and I would say that's something that Super Mario World never did, and Nintendo games in general don't do. Sure, the levels get more difficult, you have a little bit more difficult of a platforming experience, but they don't feel as chaotic as something like a 16-bit Sonic game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to relitigate the 16-bit console wars. I absolutely love Super Mario World. I absolutely love Sonic. They are all incredible games. There's just something about the chaos of an ending area in Sonic that just absolutely feels like you're just keeping it together long enough to try to get to the final boss fight with Eggman, or Dr. Robotnik as they like to call him back in the day. That really is even an interesting thing if you think about it. We grew up in the Dr. Robotnik era that became the Dr. Eggman era, and we just basically ran with it, and that is his name now. But back in Sonic 3 and Knuckles times, you were fighting Dr. Robotnik and you were happy to do it. So definitely check out Sonic 3 A.I.R and just make sure you either pop over to the GitHub to grab the most recent version again a week ago as of recording this, probably about 2 weeks old as I publish it, or if you actually download it, make sure you go on the unstable branch on the actual application, because if you stay unstable, you're getting a much older build, and even though that is a super good build, you want all the improvements and all the fixes, and that's what this one has to offer. Be sure to that link is in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.